Hello, my name is Jared McAllister. I'm the new radio portable coordinator for the City of Dallas Fire Department, and I'm here to talk to you about the new P25 digital radio system and the new changes that will be coming with it. Our current radio system is 40 years old. The last upgrade was 20 years ago, and we needed to move forward with a digital system to upgrade our current radios. P25 system stands for Project 25 Digital Phase 2 Radio Systems, and it's here to provide high digital narrowband radios and meet the public safety needs. Benefits of this digital radio system is to increase channel capacity, longer range, better coverage, increased interoperabilities, clearer audio, and long battery life. For this section, we have the menu buttons. The menu buttons will be on the screen side of the radio, and they look like 1, 2, and 3 dots. To hit these buttons, you have to do a short or long press on these buttons to activate whatever tab is on the screen. Now, the screen only shows 3 selections on the radio, but there may be more features for the menu to look for. Another button added on the front of this radio is the home button. No matter where you are on the radio, whatever other functions that you're doing on the radio, you hold down the home button for a short or long press, and it will take you back to your home screen that's been default on the radio. The other 2 features on the front of this radio is a data feature button, which will be disabled for all radios. Firefighters will not be using this, and if so, it won't be activated, so you don't have to worry about that button. The other button on the front of this radio is a 4-way navigation button that allows you to go up, down, left, or right when selecting your menu options on the front of your screen. Continuing on the features, we still have the 16 position select knob, the on and off volume control knob, and the push to talk button on the side of the radio. You also have your hand mic, which has a 16 dial select knob and a push to talk button. And just remember, the 16 dial select knob on the hand mic will override any channel that you have selected on the radio. So whichever you select last, either the hand mic or the radio, is whatever channel you're going to be on. With the new P25 system, you're going to have a couple more status icons that will pop up on the screen you may or may not notice. You'll have stuff like receiving, transmitting. You'll be able to check your battery level on the front of the screen or the top. It'll tell you your battery level, receive signal strength, roaming, and other icons that will pop up on the screen. On this slide, the main feature that I want you to pay attention to is the basic zone bank. It's labeled A, B, C, D, and so on. We have multiple banks in this radio, so when you're scrolling through the radio, if you want to see what bank you're on, it'll have it labeled A, B, C, D, and you notice that on the main display screen. The main operations bank that you'll be using is Bank A, so when you're looking for the standard operations, you want to look at your radio, you want to look for that A that's located on the top right on your screen. On the top of this radio, you'll notice an LED indicator. When you turn on the radio, it'll have multiple lights that'll go through with cycling power on. Each light represents something else that it's doing within the radio. The main colors that I want you to be worried about in this slide is, we'll start with solid red. Solid red means that the radio is transmitting. Solid yellow is going to be that the channel is busy. You need to pay attention to this one, because not only will it give you a solid yellow that the channel is busy, but also you'll get a tone saying that the channel is busy. Solid green means that the radio is powering up, and it'll go solid green and cycle through all the different colors, doing its check as you're turning on the radio. It should take no longer than 5 seconds, so you might not even notice all the colors. With the new P25 system, you have intelligent light indicators. You have 3 different colors that'll pop up on your screen, and they all mean different things. Orange is going to be your emergency modes. Emergency is going to be your man down or your maydays. Make sure you pay attention to that. It'll be an orange bar right across the screen. And you also hear a tone on your radio if you're not looking at your screen. Your red is going to be your critical alerts, which means that there is something wrong with the radio. Either the radio's got a dead battery, or there's some type of function that's wrong with the radio. You need to pay attention to those. Green is just going to be your calls or normal operations for the radio. You may not get the green screen on normal operations, that's okay, but the green alerts are just means your normal operation stuff. So with the new P25 upgrade, you guys are going to have to learn the different tones that come with each alert that goes through on your radio. First, we're going to talk about the short low-pitch tone. The main function with the short low-pitch tone is the timeout warning. Each individual that comes over the radio has a max of 60 seconds that they can transmit over the radio. That low-pitched tone will come across the radio 4 seconds before you time out. So 4 seconds before you get to your 60-second mark, it'll come on. That means you have 4 seconds to talk, and then it'll cut you off. The second one we want to talk about is the long low-pitched tone. The two main components for the long low-pitched tone are the timeout. So after you get that, your 60 seconds is up, you're going to get that long low-pitched tone, which means you're timed out for your transmission. The other function for the long low-pitched tone means you're out of range. So you get that alert on your screen and the long low-pitched tone, which tells you that you're out of range. Some of these other tones have different functions, so you're going to need to know the main ones that you're working with so you don't make a mistake on the radio. The third one I want to talk about is a group of low short tones. What this tone means is when somebody else is transmitting on the radio, you'll hear the group of low-pitched tones, and that means that the line is busy. It will not interrupt their transmission, it's just letting you know that you cannot transmit until they are done transmitting on the radio. Also on the slide, you'll notice on the left side of the channel knob is the A, B, and C. Those are the three banks that are loaded with code plug in your radio. The A and C bank are for fire department use. That has all your channels in it. Doesn't matter what you're in, A and C is always going to be the same, and B is going to be your police department frequencies. Alright, for this slide we're going to talk about the menu select items. On the front of the screen you'll see 3 different select items that you can choose from. That'll be default on your screen, which will have zone, mute, and MS1. Now you also have battery, clock, and Bluetooth, which you can select by hitting the right arrow on the screen, and it'll toggle over to the different menu select items. Now the first item is zone. Zone, you can select, it'll give you your list of items, different zones that are loaded into the radio. Now remember, banks A and C are always going to be fire no matter what zone you're in. So, but when you hit that zone button, it'll just give you the list of different zones that are loaded into the radio. The second part on the menu select items is the mute button. If you want to mute all the keypad sounds on your radio, you hit the mute button and it'll mute all the keypad sounds. Now it will not mute all your alerts or your chirps on your radio, just the keypad sounds. Third button on the menu select item is your MS1 button. Your MS1 button is going to be like your favorite frequency that you want saved into your radio. So just like on your car, if you want a favorite channel, you hit the MS1 button, it'll go to your favorite frequency. You only get one of these favorite frequencies on your radio. So if you're on a different channel and you want to immediately go to that favorite frequency, you click the MS1 button, it'll go to that frequency. Now to save it on there, you go to that favorite frequency, you hold the MS1 button for 3 to 5 seconds, and it'll save that frequency on your screen, and it'll be your quick select. The other functions in the menu select button are you have your battery, which is going to tell you how much battery life you have and how many times you charge that battery. The second is going to be your clock, which you can go in there and change the time for the clock. And the third one is going to be your Bluetooth whenever you want to add a Bluetooth device and sync it to your radio. In this slide, we're going to talk about best practices when using and talking over the radio. So when you're using your hand mic, you always want to keep it 1 to 2 inches in front of your mouth and speak clearly, and make sure you're facing the hand mic and make sure it's facing the front whenever you're using the hand mic. The digital differences when using this is there's going to be a delay whenever you're talking to somebody else, a noticeable delay, but only when you're talking on the digital system. There's also going to be a tone chirp right before speaking, so you got to listen to that chirp before you talk. So you hit the push to talk button, you'll hear that chirp, and then you can start talking. If you start talking right away, whatever you say in that 1 to 2 seconds will not be transmitted on the radio. Proximity, you may hear echoes if you have radios too close to each other, just like you would in any other radios. So make sure that you're not sitting too close to another radio, otherwise you'll get that feedback on the radio. Hang time. Your radio will continue to transmit for a second or two even after you let go of that push to talk button. So be aware whenever you're transmitting that it will still do 2 seconds after you let go of that push to talk button. Radio mics are sensitive, so you gotta make sure that's 1 to 2 inches in front of you. They will hear all the background noise behind you, so make sure you are doing that 1 to 2 inches in front of your face. For emergency operations, you guys will have your orange button on top of your hand mic and on top of your radio. For this phase for the P25 system, we are still going to be operating the same as we have before. When you want to put it come out a mayday over the radio, you have to hit the push to talk and the orange button at the same time to issue a mayday on the radio. That is not going to change until further down in the other phases for the P25 system. For these radios, we're also going to be labeling the radios according to position and apparatus. For example, if the radio belongs to truck 1, position 01, it will be labeled on the front of the radio, trunk 101. It's important to remember that you keep the radios according to the position and the apparatus for emergency operations. If you were ever put in a mayday and you're using that radio, that's what the dispatch will see whenever that comes across using that specific radio. Also, you want to remember when you're talking to wait and listen for those chirps to make sure that all your transmission is coming across the radios. And with mobile radios, when we talk about radio parts and controls, everything on the radio is going to be exactly the same. All the functions that you see now will be the same. The only thing that we're going to change is the software update that goes with the radio. The orange button and the home button and the LED indicators are going to be exactly the same with the update as we did for the mobile radios. Now in front of the radio, you'll see your items and menu. You'll have 5 buttons. That's more than you see on the portable radio, and they'll be listed as follows. You'll have zone, mute, and then you'll have your MS1 buttons. You'll have 3 MS1 buttons that you'll be able to key into your mobile radio. So like I said before, the MS1 buttons are the memory buttons. To program those, you go to whatever frequency you want to go to, hold down that MS1 button, and it'll remember that frequency that you listed before. Now, as far as the icons go on the apparatus radio, they're going to be exactly the same that you saw on the portable radio. If you transmit, you receive, all those little icons that you see on the top of the screen are going to be exactly the same. The difference with the mobile radio is the big difference, just like the portable radio, is going to be the different colors that pop up on your screen for specific alerts. Now your orange is going to still be emergency alert. You will see the orange, the whole apparatus turn orange, including your buttons. The whole thing will turn orange when there's an emergency go across that radio. Now, it's important to remember that you will only see that emergency alert if you're on that specific channel. So if you're not on that channel, you will not see the emergency alert. The other alerts, which is the critical, the red ones, and the call alerts, the green ones, those will pop up specifically for that apparatus. So if you have an alert or a problem with your radio, you'll get that red light and the red flash across the screen. That means something's wrong with your radio. The green is just your operational one, which means you're doing something on the radio, and that'll become green on the radio. All right, next I want to talk to you a little bit about radio care. There is a common fault that happens in the mobile radios that if it happens, you need to bring it into the radio shop. If the radio locks up or you get a fail 0109 that shows on the screen, you need to turn off the radio, wait 5 to 10 seconds, and then turn the radio back on. If that doesn't work, you have to bring it into the radio shop because it's an internal fault, and we have to be able to reprogram it. Now, another common problem with the radio is having intermittent transmission. That means you're not getting your transmissions completely across. If they're patchy and stuff and people are not receiving them all the way, if that consistently happens, check with other people to make sure it's not just the one radio, make sure it's other radios and not just yours. So if you do get that intermittent transmission, verify, and then if it still continues on with other radios, then bring it to us. There's probably a fault going on inside the radio. In conclusion, with radio care, when it comes to these radios, including the portable and the mobile radios, do not pound, drop, throw these radios. With portables, do not carry them by the antennas. If they do get wet, make sure that you power them off. With the mobiles, you take the battery out, shake it, make sure all the water comes out and let it dry, and then wipe it with a lint-free cloth. Same thing with the mobile radios. If they get too wet, turn it off and make sure you dry it with a lint-free cloth. Do not disconnect it. Remember, they have live voltage wires in the back. Do not disassemble that in the radio at all. Just make sure that it gets dried off, and then avoid subjecting it to any type of harsh solvents, and do not wipe it with anything harsh like a metal brush or anything like that. It has to be soft. And do not disassemble the radio at all, either the mobile or the portable radios. That should only be done by radio personnel. Should not be done by anybody in the anybody else in the fire department. All right. In conclusion, we want to make sure that you guys are taking the time to practice all those things that we had discussed in this video about the hand mic. Make sure you're talking 1 to 2 inches from your mouth. Make sure you're talking into the hand mic correctly, and that you're observing those chirps and sounds that come with the new upgrade. There are many different chirps and sounds that you're gonna have to get used to, so that's gonna take some time. So make sure you practice on doing that. Now, with the assignments of the radios, especially the portable radios, they do have a specific assignment to a specific vehicle or apparatus. Make sure you are using the correct radio for that assignment. If an emergency happens and you have the wrong radio, it might take some time to figure out where they're at because you're using the wrong radio. So it is very important that you are using the radio that is assigned to that position. And also, if you guys need to, or if you have any questions or need to get a hold of any of us over here at the radio shop, our information is going to be at the bottom. My email and my phone number will be provided. Just contact us if you have any technical problems with the radios or if you need replacements on anything.